Hi everyone and welcome to Warhammer. We're your hosts, Jack
and Dan.
Today we're going to be talking about a few rumours that's been floating about recently.
Yes, we're back on the Henry Cavill 40k TV show. Is it in crisis?
Is it in crisis? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not,
that's
really.
That's the TLDR.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Stop now. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much. But yes.
Yeah, we're going to dive into it a little bit and pick through it, look at some of the reasons why people are saying what they're saying and whether there's anything behind it at all.
Yeah.
And as Jack says, in the meantime, please do keep liking, sharing and subscribing. The channel's growing really well and we're really pleased with it. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
So let's get into it, shall we?
Why not, Dan? Why not start off? What is the rumours?
So there's been loads of news articles and a few videos saying that Henry Cavill's 40k project is in jeopardy. Again.
Dun, dun, dun. Third time this year.
I was going to say it's about every 2 or 3 months, something like this crops up. Yeah. Which is great because we've got something to talk about.
That's true. Yeah, everyone likes to.
You made a good point here. You did a bit of research, and there's actually sort of several interconnected rumours that either Cavill might be leaving or that the project might not happen, etc.
Correct.
Do you want to run us through them?
I don't see why not. I guess the first thing is, I guess just go for it, Henry Cavill. I mean, obviously, whenever an actor's out there, they always have these generic issues that I'm going to cover. But again, we'll talk about it more in depth later. But I don't see any of these really being an issue. But obviously, there's just the standard stuff. Schedule conflicts with Henry.
Well, I mean, he is a busy man. He's a global superstar.
Exactly. He's very handsome, so everyone wants him. We want him as well.
Yeah.
Contractual obligations, of course. Creative differences, very common in his industry, and 40k canon differences.
Yeah, this is a big. I mean, the law is the sacred text, etc. There is
exactly, yeah.
This is the sticky point, and this is why these discussions keep coming around. I think is under normal circumstances, these licensing agreements is typically like, we've licensed this to Disney and they're going to make it, and it either happens or it doesn't. Yeah. But this has been slightly different. We'll come on to that in a second. But there's you've also done a bit of research on who's been publishing these stories, and they've popped up in quite a few places, haven't they?
It's just like everyone's just like kind of talking about them here, there, and everywhere, really. Yeah. But just to name a few: IGN, Spiky Bits, and Bell of Lost Souls.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of the like Hollywood type of sites have picked up this story, which is rare. It's rare that our little corner of the geekery gets on those Hollywood sites. But so it's they're obviously. Think it was worth reporting. So in terms of what's prompted the rumours, and this is the meat of it, is GW recently published its annual report and account. So it does this every year for its shareholders.
Very common, very usual.
Yeah, just normal. And on page 10 of this, tucked away 1 line or 2 lines, they've just reiterated that the project will not happen unless both companies can agree creative guidelines by a deadline of end of December this year.
Yes, correct.
So we're basically more than halfway through. We're nearly 3/4 of the way through that.
Exactly. The current contract's about to expire the next couple of months. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to expire.
The clock's ticking.
That's it. Yes. It's over. Cancel it. Cancel the videos.
And this is the meat of it. So that normally, as I said, like you very often find in these things, there will be, we've licensed the Walking Dead comic to this company and they're going to make a series about it.
Exactly.
But in this case, there was this intermediate step where they said we're going to sit down and discuss and see if we can
mold something out of this kind of law that we've got. And obviously, because obviously whenever like Amazon kind of take over a show, they want to add their bits to it. Maybe just what's the word? Because obviously they have to adapt it to television.
Exactly.
So sometimes there has to be changes. Like we've talked about in the past about Doom and such. June.
Yeah.
There we go. Couldn't see the word there. But they had to make differences and changes to the book.
Yes.
And some people hate it, some people love it. But I think GW is so like focused on what they want out of it. This is where the issue is really. They still want to remain in control, but they need to agree to something.
I mean, GW's, no disrespect to GW's partners, but GW's used to dealing with much smaller fish.
Yeah.
So typically GW has the strong hand where it says, this is our law, don't fuck with our IP.
Yeah, exactly.
And whoever's licensing it goes, no problem. Whereas I think reading between the lines, the issue here is Amazon's a lot bigger than GW.
Yeah.
So GW said, you can do, but this is our law, don't fuck with the IP. And Amazon's gone, we will fuck with it if we want to.
Pretty much there.
And hence this intermediate step where they try and agree how much fuckery is allowed by both parties.
Which makes perfect sense.
It does.
You've got to find the right balance at the end.
In a way, I'm really pleased. Like if GW had just hoarded themselves and said, do what you like with our IP.
Would get another Halo.
Yeah.
And that's awful.
yeah, exactly.
So,
and, Jack's feelings on Halo well documented in one of our other videos. But I mean, they've just cancelled that show, haven't they? Because it was so bad. Yeah.
Thank God it's cancelled.
It's safe to say you were not alone in the fandom in disliking how.
Should have stopped at season 1. Shouldn't even been at season 1. I mean, it went through so many hands.
They veered away from some of the fundamentals of the characters,
of Halo,
didn't they?
basically,
Halo,
They just completely flipped the script on what Halo actually is.
Yeah.
It just seems like whoever wrote the script
and never played the games,
never
or
played
read
the
books,
games, never read the books, just kind of made a story that was going to fit a mold.
Yeah.
And then Halo was going to become that mold, and it just didn't fit.
So I'm really pleased in that respect that GW is saying, look, let's have a grown-up discussion about this.
Exactly. And this isn't new information, I think, as well. It's worth
That's
mentioning.
very, very good.
This
very
has
good
been,
point.
this came out, all of this, December last 2023.
Yeah.
The contract was said, right, it's going to be a year's contract. We're going to discuss it. We're going to iron it out. If we're going to agree, perfect. It'll continue. If we can't agree, then we'll have to relook at something, maybe revisit it.
Yeah.
And this is what we're at now. We're going to be revisiting how it's been over the last year. Have they came to any decisions? They've not actually spilt the beans or anything, really, have they?
No, and this is the interesting thing about this explosion of negative. A lot of them, not all of them. Some of the people who cited there have written balanced articles about it, but some a lot of the articles and a lot of the videos have have leapt on this as if this is
Henry Cavill leaving now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
and whereas what I would view this as a positive work because they announced this nearly 8 months ago in December 2023, said this is what we're doing, and what they've announced in their annual report is we are still doing this.
Yeah.
If they'd announced that they weren't doing it anymore, that would be a much bigger deal.
100%. Yeah.
So it's not new information at all.
Nah.
They are only going to proceed if they can agree these creative guidelines. But that's the grey area. And do you think, as fans, we should be worried by these stories that it isn't going to proceed?
Very common. Nah.
Yeah.
I would say no. It's like at the end of the day, it's like it's either going to happen or not. I think if everyone's sitting there being like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be so annoyed if this TV show gets cancelled," like, well, why? It's like it was never promised.
Yes,
it's always been in the pipeline to be made. We all, if people don't know who doesn't know how it works, they do have to go through a principle of will it work for what we want it to do?
Yes.
Will you produce? They might turn around and say, well, look, Amazon isn't the right fit for us. We don't think you'll make the best representation.
Yeah.
Maybe we might go elsewhere. Paramount Plus. We'll never go there because that's what destroy Halo. But other places, they need to find the right people.
I would quite like an HBO show because HBO Game of Thrones, House. Let's not talk about the last 2 seasons, but House of the Dragon. Everyone's watching that at the moment.
Very
it's
good.
awesome.
Let's not mention the last show before that
one. No, but yeah. So there's I think that's a very good point, and I think you also raise a point here about how protective GW is for the law. That's the real sticking point, I think, isn't it?
And again, you mentioned excellently before, the GW always is the bigger hand
when
it comes to these decisions. So they do have the bigger say of like, well, no, we're not going to give you that, and it's kind of like a flat no. But now they're versing Amazon. I think Amazon will have a sway because they've got the TV shows behind them to be like, well, look at the boys. We can make this work.
Yes.
Invincible.
Yes. Look at the boys.
Glory.
Don't look at Rings of Power. Look at the boys.
Exactly. But then, even then, that's a really good data that they could use to be like, well, look, the Lord of the Rings restricted us from using certain things. And you only give us certain things.
Yes.
And this is what happened.
Yes.
We fell over because we weren't given the right access.
Yeah.
We can use that data when pitching to Games Workshop and be like, if you don't give us the full rights, this is what happens.
This is what you'll end up with.
Give us the full rights like the boys, and we'll smash it. So I think they have enough TV shows under the belt now with the data behind it to be like, if you give us all the information that we need, we'll make you an excellent show.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So,
and all I'd add to that is I just think there's no need to panic yet. As we just discussed, there's 4 months left on the clock pretty much. I think if the two corporations were at an impasse and the project was being shelved, GW would have to announce that to its shareholders because it would impact its share price. It's only going to go one way if they announce that.
Yeah.
So I think the options are at the moment would be A, that they're struggling to hammer out a basic deal and it might not happen, which is what a lot of these stories have been saying.
Yeah.
B is they're struggling to hammer out a basic deal, but they're still optimistic it can be done, which you could read that into what they've just announced. C would be that they could give themselves an extension to agree creative guidelines. Even if they hit December, there's nothing. This isn't like a legal issue. It's a contractual one. So they could both say, we're nearly there, let's give ourselves another 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. Extend it on. Yeah, that makes sense as well.
Or they might have. What I would like to think is they've reached an agreement on the basics, like an agreement in principle, and what they're now doing is hammering out the finer details. And I think that's more likely. I think if you'd been banging heads for 8 months by now, they just would have said it's not going to work.
That's true. Would have kind of. I mean, we surely would have heard more rumors if it was like more negative stuff. Like surely people love to whistleblow in Games Workshop.
Oh man,
so if there was anything bad, I'm pretty sure that
Valrak would have heard his whispers on. Whispers on wind, and, and all that. He said it, but I mean, also Amazon's leak is a sieve. Like there's so much. There's people love to gossip in those kind of TV and movie circles. So I think so.
We'll definitely heard some more.
And the last point I would like to make is I think which is an important one is GW is a listed company. It's a PLC in the UK and it's listed on. I think it's listed on NASDAQ as well actually. But either way, it's owned by investors. And they really want this deal.
They want the money.
Yeah, they do.
They want the check of cheese.
Well, I mean, imagine like this has the enormous potential to. I mean, 40K is never going to be mainstream because it's a mental game that requires a little huge investment.
To play it.
Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that in another video. But this has a potential to bring in vast numbers of new customers. Whether that's new players or just people buying books and video games. But also, you think about if a Cavill TV show is successful, the merch opportunities from that alone would be massive.
Yeah, all the action figures.
Yeah. I want
all
them.
the Henry Cavill's have behind you right now.
So
I think you're right.
I think that it's very difficult for GW to walk away from this deal because their shareholders would not be happy.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just good for them.
And that brings us nicely onto predictions. So, I mean, what's going to happen from this, do you think?
I honestly just think nothing. I just think it's going to be very, very business as usual.
Yeah.
Cool. They'll work out something in the pipeline, get something made. Even like the points that you raised about like the different ways they could approach it, they've got to take one of them at least. Again, it'd be silly enough for them not to make it. Considering the hype, it was only rumors at the very start, and then like everyone is behind Henry. Everyone's just like this. He's amazing. We love him. We love seeing him play Warhammer. We love seeing him talk about Warhammer.
It's a perfect scenario, isn't it? Yeah. Because you've got a fan base that really wants it.
Yeah.
You've got a company with its investors that really want it. Yeah. You've got a massive TV production company that really wants it. Yeah. And then you've got the biggest, one of the most bankable stars in the world who really wants it.
Who has an insight in the background so that to ensure, like, obviously there was stories, like, we talked about this in the past, about him being on The Witcher, talking about it, book in hand, being like, nah, I would never say this. This person would say this. We'll have to say this because it's in the book. Having that, for them to be so protective of their law, having this, Henry Cavill in there doing that sort of stuff is what they want. Yes. So I think it's an excellent choice.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Silly not to.
I mean, until we hear otherwise, I think the deal's very much on, and I'll be really surprised, even if there is some kind of impasse, if GW doesn't bend a little bit just to accommodate it. Because
that's it. Just they've got to. It's TV. It's got to change it.
Yeah. Yeah, there'll be a lot more discussion about how far they change it if we ever get that far, because it's not going to please everybody.
No.
But at the moment, the summary, I guess, from both of us is don't panic, and we think as far as we can read into this situation, there's nothing to worry about yet. If we get to the end of December and haven't announced anything, then we can start crying. Then
another video of just us crying.
Yeah,
just like, no, where's it gone? But spot on. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for watching.